Hi everyone, and welcome to the weekly predictions for the week of September 23rd, 2019. These are based on astrological transits and my review of the previous events that happened under similar transits. So for the overall long-term global influences, we have ongoing transits between conjunctions of Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, which typically coincide with increase in major earthquakes, geopolitical changes in power, such as old corporations announcing restructuring, and as we saw recently, business that has been, I guess, around for many decades. I think it's Thomas Cook, the travel company, had declared bankruptcy. So we're talking also about old leaders, basically, that are being removed or passing away, or just somehow being overtaken. And or changes in, say, even borders or the status of various territories, or literally Earth, shifting due to various either accidents or, like I said, mudslides, earthquakes, and so forth. And this particular week, this influence is especially strong in the end of the week, and I guess into the weekend, so 26, 27, 28, through I guess 30th, the next Monday. And in particular, this week we also have Saturn going through the conjunction with the south node of the moon, which that typically indicates many people being affected, or a large maybe population, or events happening in the public places such as airports. And indeed, interestingly, we have heard news that many I guess travelers were stranded. Literally thousands of passengers, not passengers but travelers, were stranded due to this company dissolving. So we're obviously, if there's a large earthquake, then again, you can expect various delays or problems that again affect many people. Or if there's a geopolitical shift where literally a new government comes to power, that may affect many people for a long time. Or it may have to do with perhaps an old building, some sort of famous old building, perhaps experiencing problems or being demolished. And again, it may not necessarily affect personally many people, but it will be something that's publicly recognizable. And this week, like I said, this influence is particularly strong because Saturn is going to be also conjuncting south-north node of the moon. Another ongoing influence that is strong throughout the whole September and will continue being on sort of through the end of the month and into early October, but then we'll start gradually dissolving, is the square between Jupiter and Sagittarius and Neptune in Pisces. And this has to do with increase in wet weather, problems with water, or focus on like Navy or shipments overseas, long distance transportation. Again, this company that I just mentioned that went bankrupt had to do with transportation. Now we have problems, sort of too many people, are in one area and they can't move. So you can extrapolate that to similar events that have to do with shipments, especially shipments that have to do with oil or Navy or chemicals, pharmaceuticals, or shipments that have to go over water or over international borders. So some disruptions, either expansion in those areas, but expansion that maybe happens too quickly and there is no sustainability. So maybe the road is built, but there are no, areas to rest, and so people can't quite move easily, or there's, too much oil somewhere in one area, but for some reason cannot be shipped because again, either there are some problems with, say, legal matters, international negotiations not going well, or basically just imbalanced planning in terms of that shipment not being able to go through, and or just maybe bad weather or some spill of, say, oil in the water, and therefore ships cannot move through that. So all of that is particularly strong in September, but it will taper off starting in early October. And we did have this spike with in oil prices with the attack on the crude oil processing plant in Saudi Arabia, and that had happened when Mars joined the square between Jupiter and Neptune. We will have Moon going over that same spot later this week. I believe it's going to be the end of the week, but so it will be maybe a echo, sort of reminder of the same event. So I predict that the oil prices may continue going up slowly, but after some time, in October, it may not be, this progress may not necessarily continue, and I don't think there will be another major attack like that. Although, like I said, at the end of the week especially, there may be a major either accident or earthquake or something that may trigger, some concerns and potentially require either affect financials, banks, etc., or require some financial expense to deal with that. We'll get to that in a short while. So generally also all week, especially 23rd and September 26th, 28th, we'll see increased focus on Saturnian kind of matters. So steel, Saturnian matters, so steel, coal, metals, rocks in general, minerals, mining, excavation, archaeological, even digging anything that's kind of either hidden underground or has to do with kind of basically you need to dig to find it, and or something that is meant to be constructed and stand for a long time, such as large building. So those topics may come up either in relation to, like I said, disasters, earthquakes, where something maybe that's been standing a long time collapses, or vice versa, a new project is basically begins. And I did hear or saw in the news, I guess, that the new largest airport in China, something like that, is being open. So we're talking about things, especially with Saturn being in the south, conjuncting south node, indeed things that affect many people. So maybe a large scale construction project begins or is open, or vice versa, a large building that's either well known maybe is demolished or basically is ruined somehow, or maybe a major discovery is made again underground. So these kind of areas will be potentially affected, and again it could be a positive manifestation as well as negative. Another sort of strong emphasis this week is focus on all kinds of negotiations, diplomacy, contracts, trying to balance things, basically, and trying to find the golden mean, so to speak, in negotiations. And also strong emphasis for the entire sort of end of September, including the 30th, which is next Monday, on financials, financial institutions, banks, earnings, payments, processing of money, real estate, savings, assets, cash availability. So those topics will continue kind of increasing in importance throughout the week, and especially culminate next Monday, the 30th of September. There'll be some either surprises next Monday, or some changes and fluctuations in the value of, say, currencies or some financial products, or some surprises about cryptocurrencies. And again, not the cryptocurrencies themselves, I don't think, will be the reason for those surprises, but rather they may be affected, their value may be affected. And or again, there may be some announcements about banks doing something unusual or risky, or some sort of a change and reversal of direction. So some surprises may be coming up. So let's see. Then for US and China, like I said, August, before I already mentioned that, August 19th through November 5th is important times when both countries may experience some either conflicts, also increased focus on various negotiations with partners. And in US, there might be major public announcements about some leaders, especially coming up around October the 2nd, but also focus on banks and finance. And also there may be some increased number of announcements that have to do with legal matters, judges, lawyers, immigration, long distance transportation, various laws, especially international communication, transportation, and or just tariffs, or anything that affects basically the movement of people and goods across long distances and especially across borders. For China, something similar, again, like I said, focus on negotiations with partners and some tensions there, but also increased probability of serious earthquakes, accidents, disasters, and also focus on banks and finance, as well as some sort of focus on either being under some sort of pressure, or either engaging in hacking or being hacked, or feeling a lot of this kind of a pressure and the need to cut losses or reduce pollution, or basically reduce the number of partners, reduce the number of some agreements, or basically not shrinking, but either imposing controls or kind of cutting things down again to be able to control things a little bit better. And also potentially a need may come up with expenses that have to do with like addressing the need to fix some old infrastructure like a road or dam, and or erosion from the water, and or some fighting again over body of water, oil, or just dealing with like some pollution, for example. And a lot of this may be shrouded either in secrecy or come up in a way that it's not clear where that basically issue came from, or it is an issue that is being used to sort of manipulate something else. So it's something that's like shady and unclear and kind of murky. And interestingly, I did briefly just saw some headline that I guess in China they're looking to put government officials I'm not sure exactly on the board or how exactly it's going to be done, into like 100 private companies. So that would be this kind of manifestation where basically more control, and control to basically either to cut losses, prevent volatility, or just kind of make sure that things are done in a sort of more disciplined, organized way. So moving on to the specific prediction for each individual day of the week. I believe that pretty much every day except maybe Thursday, I keep it about Thursday, I think maybe a day where market may go up about 55% chance, and for the remainder of the week, the market will most likely go down every day. For Monday, September 23rd, I'm the least sure of market going down. I gave it about 55% chance. And the down influence, I believe, is stronger in the afternoon. For the entire week, as I said, especially at the end of the week, 27th through 28th, there might be increased news, continuing news about like oil, wet weather, rains, floods, hurricanes, fluctuation oil prices. The oil prices may go up either slightly, but again, no huge moves, except there may be some sort of a event that either is a follow-up to that attack in Saudi Arabia, or something that's maybe similar somewhere else but on a much smaller scale. And also some of these events may involve either confusion or deception, or something that's kind of not what it seems. So maybe say chemical weapons are used, but it's not clear where they came from, or maybe the oil is meant to be shipped, but it's stuck somewhere, but it's not sure whether it will be moved or not, or the wet weather is approaching, but it's not clear whether actually, there will be flooding or not. So just things that are a little bit in a limbo. And those kind of topics will, like I said, persist through or be in focus through the end of September, but also through the early October, especially October 5th and 6th, where we can expect another sort of high probability of some sort of disaster. Maybe, like I said, oil spill or oil, transportation issues. Let's see, then, like I said, this week there's also strong influence, strong focus on financials. And in particularly September 23rd or 26th, and especially 24th or 25th, we may hear a lot of news about banks, either financial losses or financial institutions basically dealing with cash availability, concerns about cash availability, concerns about earnings, concerns about value, maybe changes in values of currencies, and many businesses maybe taking kind of a wait and see approach, or investors may be looking to take a more conservative, risk averse approach. If there's some businesses that deal with, say, fashion, clothing, they may suffer losses, or they may do some cutting, as far as their workforce, or maybe looking to go with fashion that's basically minimalist somehow, nothing too frivolous. There may also be a significantly damaging earthquake, major geopolitical change, such as government, being toppled, or new governmental leaders coming to power, or, maybe even changes in the territory status somewhere. And there may also be concerns about, like I said, finance, where perhaps if there's such a change, geopolitical change or big disaster or earthquake, those losses may have to do with governments needing to basically spend money to address that or to fix the problem. So these losses, financial losses may either be independent, and those geopolitical changes and earthquakes, for example, are independent, or the losses may be directly due to those problems. And that probability increases towards the end of the week. But for the market direction, especially the 24th and 25th, I predict maybe strong down days with, again, concerns about banks, losses, rates, and all of those kind of related topics. Then for the USA, it's 24th and 26th, as well as for China, 24th and 26th, especially the 25th and 26th, are quite important dates. For both countries, there are some areas in their chart that will deal with finance, rates, debt, loans, investments, stocks. And so some financials, again, not only globally are in, there's some indication of some problems or some concerns, but also specifically for US and China. Additionally, for USA, for those dates, so 24th or 26th of September, there may be focus on the secret deals, nuclear power, nuclear weapons, legal agreements, immigration, long-distance travel and transportation, and international relations. And for China, there may be increased news about oil, transportation over water, navy, water poisons, water erosion, bad weather, as well as video and music, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, various poisons, pollution, recycling, and there may be some actually positive news for China about increased profits from those businesses like movies, chemicals, recycling, pharmaceuticals, and or the country will either, again, voluntarily, just maybe it's a large project, or maybe in response to some disaster will potentially look to spend large sums of money to address problems in those areas, such as fixing pollution, improving, dam or something like that, or dealing with water erosion, or improving, cleanliness of some body of water, for example, or improving, building a new wonderful, beautiful Navy ship or something like that. So there is some expenses or profits related to these areas specifically for China. Let's see, then for the 25th and 22nd, 25th and 26th of September, there may be globally a major announcement about some sort of a large agreement or contract that may involve large players, such as really large corporations or countries. And again, this may be related to finance and earnings. So some change in some long-standing maybe process or something that doesn't happen very often. And it may relate to again, government overseeing these issues, or changes in sort of laws, regulations, controls, limitations, and it may have to do with real estate, farming, or food production, or just soil, earth, kind of, to make sure that things are kind of secure, that some financial product or currency doesn't drop too much in value, that the losses are contained, or, that something is preserved, its security or safety is preserved, like safety of assets, safety of food, etc. So the focus will be on kind of preventing things from getting worse, preventing losses, or improving controls, including governmental controls over such issues. And that's globally. On Thursday, like I said, there was a slight probability of market going up. I was kind of debating whether there's going to be an up or down prediction, so it's a little bit of a mixed day on Thursday, but because I think the previous two dates, the Tuesday and Wednesday especially, will have strong down move, especially Wednesday, then Thursday will probably be a slight reversal to up, and there may be increased news, especially up for the US. US may actually experience some positive news potentially about banking, so maybe slight improvement of something, or resolving problems in some sort of a easy way with either money or diplomacy. However, at the same time, there may be globally some increased news about like hacking, spying, trafficking, especially of young people, protests that involve like young people, like students, for example, or schools. There may also be some secrets revealed about communication transportation company, or perhaps some companies being again in the news about basically violating privacy of its users, and again, communication or transportation company that they're, like I said, violating the privacy. The company has been hacked, or there's some secrets about their finance. And there may also be news about some problems or some tensions or really tense or difficult sales negotiations involving either nuclear power, nuclear weapons, mining, recycling, or underground facilities of some sort, like storage perhaps, or literally like companies that deal with mines, recycling, etc. Some sort of difficulty there, reaching some agreements or a sale, or maybe agreement may be reached but not easily, but with some strong, I guess, strong pressure. And for US, also on Thursday, like I said, there may be positive news about finance, banks, rates, currencies, such as, improved value of perhaps US dollar, and or increased profits, increased value, again, something positive, some inflow of money or inflow of value, increase in value for US financial institutions, and or there may be news for US about an important sale or contract involving financial institutions, currency, rates, etc. For Friday, I think then there's a strong chance that it will go down, 65% chance. And similarly, I think that the weekend will be full of important news, again, focusing on finance, potentially some financial scandals, manipulations, and it will, on Monday, will kind of result in an even bigger set of news, some surprises, changes in the value of either stocks of, say, banks or some financial products that they're offering. So anything that potentially can be related to that. And on Friday, also there may be increased news about oil. Like I said, there might be this smaller scale sort of a deja vu of either what happened in Saudi Arabia or just like an echo of that event where basically there's a follow-up. So we are fixed, the production, now what? And how, some companies obviously that are affected by those events may now come up with either ways to move forward, or there may be some additional problems, which again may on Friday bring the value of oil up because of that. Let's see. And on, like I said, 28th and 29th, Saturday, Sunday, definitely not in quiet weekend. Very high probability of various disasters, earthquakes, geopolitical changes. New leaders may come to power. Some entities' status may change. Some major agreement may be reached again on the level of countries, large corporations, and it's plus or minus a couple days, but astrologically, again, the weekend is quite strong. And whatever happens, it will most likely cover not only events, because it's going to be also the new moon on the 28th, so it will cover the events for the month, but also because we have Saturn conjuncting North Node, it's something that will be then on the Saturnian cycle, so to speak. So every 7 years or so, we will have a follow-up event. So perhaps there is a large earthquake or volcanic eruption or mudslides or some disaster, maybe a bridge or something collapses. Then that particular place may experience similar events every 7 years, or if, say, a new leader comes to power or some territory's status changes, again, every 7 years, it may be reviewed and challenged. Let's see, then. So on Saturday, there may be also an announcement about some new project or a new beginning of some new agreement, like I said, and it may have to do, again, increased focus on finances, profit, or some secretive deals, manipulations really involving finance and or recycling, nuclear power, like I said. On Sunday, then, it may be followed by some worries about basically who has the upper hand in this sort of a struggle. Who is the bully, who is the victim. A lot of this power plays, manipulation, some secrets may come up about basically financial status of some large, I guess, corporate players or governmental leaders, etc. And then on Monday, September the 30th, we may really have, like I said, surprising events related again to finance, currencies, including cryptocurrencies, and or, like I said, the positive manifestation could be that banks are announcing new ways of, say, for ensuring safety or security of privacy in financial dealings, and perhaps something about Bitcoin, because similar aspects previously resulted in like this announcement where some banks were allowed to, I guess, allow their customers to save their money in Bitcoin. So it may have something to do with that, but there will be associated news about financial scandals, financial manipulations, some secrets, especially maybe, government doesn't have as much money as they say they do, or what the money was spent on was not really what it actually had happened. So some financial secrets may be uncovered or suspected of. And again, that will be this kind of a tone which may potentially bring market down, or at least flavor sort of the mood for the day. And I previously mentioned a quick preview of the following week, I suppose, that October 5th and 6th also look like very strong dates where there may be some additional like accidents, disasters, again, may involve mining, soil, earthquakes, collapses of old buildings, collapses of old structures, be it governments, corporations, and it may also affect businesses related to airplanes, airspace, IT, telecoms, and social media, such as all these like Instagram, Facebook, social platforms. There may be some sudden changes, surprises, problems due to high winds, and or problems due to kind of communication either being blocked or being excessive. Basically, what is being said is may come basically to cause some problems for these companies, or perhaps again the fact that they are supposed to be enabling communication and they are not able to do that. Maybe the service is out. That may potentially cause some surprising, like I said, outages. And that's the 5th and 6th. Or if there's a disaster, it may potentially have to do again with large earthquake, landslides, and or high winds. So that's it from me, and I hope you enjoyed this segment. And you can also read about my predictions, weekly predictions, the day before I post my videos at tolstunka.com. That's my blog. And I usually post those on Sunday. And I guess that's it from me, and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.